Have you ever looked at world events, the news, the chaos, and just thought, is any of this making sense? Or is it all just one random, unpredictable thing after another? Well, what if I told you there's a hidden blueprint, a predictable pattern that explains the incredible rise and the tragic fall of the world's greatest powers?
I mean, really, think about it for a second. Why do these massive, powerful empires, the Dutch, the British, and yes, even the United States, all seem to trace the exact same arc? You know the one, a massive, explosive rise to the top, a glorious peak, and then this slow, inevitable decline.
Here's the secret. It is not bad luck. It's not just a string of coincidences. It is a predictable script, a cycle that has been playing out over and over again for the last 500 years. And when you actually plot it out on a timeline, the pattern just jumps out at you. The data is, well, it's undeniable. Around 1650, you've got the Dutch Empire at its absolute zenith. As they begin to fade, who comes rowing in? The British Empire, hitting its peak around 1850. Then, as their power starts to recede, the United States skyrockets, completely dominating the mid-20th century, and now we're all watching the unbelievably fast ascent of China. It's literally like watching a series of waves on the ocean, one cresting just as the one before it pulls back.
So, what is going on here? What are the hidden mechanics, the engine that's driving this relentless cycle? Well, that's exactly what we're about to pull back the curtain on. The key to unlocking all of this is a framework called the Big Cycle. Now, think of it as the ultimate playbook, the archetypal story that every single great power follows. And this isn't based on some fuzzy theory or opinion. It's built on the measurable strength of 8 key factors of power. We're talking things you can actually track, like education, innovation, trade, military strength, cold, hard data.
And this whole epic journey, it really just boils down to 3 distinct stages. You've got the rise, which is the building phase, then the top, that golden era of dominance, and finally, you have the decline, where the very things that made the empire great start to crumble.
So what does the rise actually look like? Well, it's this period of incredible focus and discipline. You have strong, competent leaders. You have a culture of hard work and very low corruption. And, crucially, they're pouring money into things that pay off in the long run. Education for their people and world-class infrastructure. All of this just lights a fire under innovation and makes the country an absolute powerhouse on the world stage.
But then, the script always flips. The decline sets in. And here's the part that most people miss. It's often caused by the success of being at the top. The nation becomes a victim of its own wealth. Suddenly, those debts that seemed manageable are now massive and growing. To deal with it, they start printing money like there's no tomorrow. Inside the country, people are at each other's throats. Society gets incredibly polarized over money and values. And, maybe most importantly, they start losing that competitive fire to the next hungry nation on the rise.
And this is the revelation moment. The second you really see this pattern, it's like a light bulb goes on. You suddenly get it. History isn't just a bunch of random stories. It's the same story, the same script, playing out over and over, just with a different cast of characters each time.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. It's a fantastic theory, right? But is it just that, a theory? Does the actual data from past empires really back this up?
Oh, it does. In fact, the numbers are shockingly clear. The data doesn't just hint that this cycle exists, it proves it with startling precision. Let's take a look. We'll start with the Dutch.
Okay, so here's the Dutch Empire's entire cycle laid out. You see the rise, right? Fueled by huge leaps in education and innovation. By 1650, they are on top of the world. They literally invented the stock market and controlled a massive chunk of global trade. But then, you see it, the decline starts to set in. They lose their edge, they get bogged down in expensive wars, and poof, they fade. Look how all those key metrics rise and fall together. It's like a symphony. Now hold that image in your mind and watch what happens when we overlay the British Empire. It's almost a carbon copy, just shifted forward in time. The rise is powered by the Industrial Revolution. The peak hits around 1875, with London as the center of the financial universe. And then comes the decline, driven by massive debts from 2 world wars and the final nail in the coffin, losing the pound as the world's go-to currency. It's the same exact script.
Okay, so we've seen the pattern play out in the past. But honestly, the only thing that really matters is how this framework applies to the world we are living in right now.
Which brings us to the most important question of all. Where do today's great powers, the United States and China, fit into this centuries-old script? Well, when you apply the big cycle framework, the picture that emerges is incredibly clear. You have the United States, the established dominant power, showing all the classic signs of being late in its cycle. We're talking high debt, lots of internal conflict. Sound familiar? And on the other side, you have China, the rising power, showing all the hallmarks of being much earlier in its cycle. Huge investments in education and tech, and an insane competitive drive.
And this isn't just a feeling, let's look at the scorecard. On innovation and tech, the US is still #1, but look how close China is at #2. In terms of pure economic output, China has already taken the lead. But here are the red flags. The US debt burden, ranked 11th, which is really high. China's is much healthier. And maybe the most telling metric of all, internal conflict. The US is ranked as very high, while China's is just average. The data is telling the story of a classic power transition happening right before our eyes.
Now this is so much more than just watching some global chess match. Understanding the cycle, well, it gives you what you might call an unfair advantage because it has huge implications for your life.
Right. Knowing where we are in this cycle is not some fun academic trivia. It has profound, real-world consequences, and it hits closest to home when it comes to your money, your wealth, and your future.
I want you to look at this because this is the price of decline. During Russia's chaotic power shift, investors lost everything, 100%. The same thing happened in Germany after World War I. Post-World War II Japan, a 96% wipeout. The takeaway here is absolutely critical. Being invested in the declining power during one of these shifts can be financially catastrophic.
So let's just quickly recap the new toolkit you now have to see the world differently. Number 1, history is not random, it follows a predictable script. 2, you can tell where a country is in that script by watching a few key signals, like debt and internal conflict. 3, and this is the big one, we're living through one of these massive power transitions right now. This knowledge helps you decode the news, understand what's really going on, and gives you an incredible edge in seeing what's coming around the corner.
Which brings us to the final, and really the only question that matters now. Now that you can see history's hidden blueprint, how are you going to navigate what comes next?